Donald Trump is losing his mind. There's really just no other way to say it. We want to talk about a couple of the things that happened in a 24-hour period with Donald Trump, any one of which would be the weirdest thing Barack Obama had literally ever done. This is just one 24-hour period that we're gonna forget about tomorrow. So the first has to do with, he was asked a question about the Barr summary of the Mueller report, and I phrase it that way to remind people that no one yet has seen the actual report. People have forgotten that, talked about what they think is gonna be in it, and have now moved on, and we still haven't actually gotten it. But anyway, he was asked about it, and here is what he says he hopes happens going forward.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation about the Mueller report. The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges, how it started, the beginnings of the investigation, how it started.
And I think that's the end of the show, because how do you go back to just talking about the news when he repeatedly says oranges?
Okay, so he said oranges 3 times in that clip. Now, the highly edited Media Matters tape that was put out there, because that's always the go-to, even though Media Matters had nothing to do with this particular one. Highly edited tape that cut out the times he said origins, which was once, maybe twice.
He did say origins once.
Yes, he said origins in the middle of that, where it jumped to the third time he did say oranges. I don't think that negates the fact that he gets origins confused with oranges. So and then I mean, I'm not. We can give the full sentence, and I would listen to the whole section where he talked about it. So he said oranges, oranges, origins, oranges. That's not good.
That sentence you just said. How have we ended up in this position that we have to do this? Is there any, like, I don't want to be crazy, and I don't want to seem crazy, but he's forcing me to speak in a way that he's so crazy that anyone who discusses it seems crazy too. What is the rational explanation for what just happened other than some sort of issue with his brain? And especially because he doesn't just go back and forth with 3 oranges and 1 origins. He also sort of pauses before saying it and then ends up on the wrong word. And you'll remember he says, the beginnings. Like, he gets on some level that he's not communicating effectively, but not on a level that lets him stop thinking about fruit.
So so I'm glad you brought up the how it started, where it began, because he explained it 2 different times. What the word origin means on top of it. You don't have to explain what origin means unless you're talking to a 5-year-old and goes, oh, that's a big word, Dad, what's origin? So the fact you have to say where it started, origins, where it began, origins, you don't have to explain that. Like, the fact he has to explain that means he's getting it in his brain. Wait, origin, right? What does origin mean? Origin means where something started. The internal thought isn't happening. What's happening is, as it happens, he has to say it out loud, because all the filters are starting to fall apart. The house, the place is on fire, and the walls are coming down. Don't touch the door because it's hot before you open it, because the blaze might hit you. So that's what's happening in his brain. And did you see the White House?
You mean the grapes might hit you?
I remember learning that as a kid. If there's a fire in the house, don't open the hot door, touch it first, see if it's hot. Because you open it, there's a blaze about to hit you. Anyway, did you see the White House's official statement about what was said?
Why don't we look at the official statement right now? So the person who writes this down has to deal with him, and so this is what they landed on. Usually they just lie. Usually they just fix it and say that that's what he said. But in this case, I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges. So if you're listening to the podcast, they have spelled it ORINGES, and then they've corrected it to origins. And so you see, he gets origins, then he goes back to oranges, origins. And so the person doing the transcript has tried to, I guess, help him by making it not the fruit, but still pointing out that it's nonsensical that he couldn't get to the right word.
I think it might be worse. So if we're gonna buy the official transcript from the White House that he said oranges, ORINGES, I believe.
That's not even a word.
That's not even a word. So at least if we think he's saying orange is the fruit, that means he's saying an English word. Oranges, that spelling that you made up, means he's making up words in the middle of a sentence that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
I'd rather, you should go with he was mistaken rather than he's coming up with words because he's losing his mind. Like, I'm not even saying he's losing his mind, but if I'm gonna take your word, your transcript for it, that's a hint that he's losing his mind. Now you're saying it.
Yeah, I think he's going bananas, actually. I think that's what's going on.
It's just losing a grasp on normal sentence structure and vocabulary.
Yeah, and so look, to some extent, we're kind of joking a little bit, and I know a lot of people have been in the last day since it happened, but it's not really a joke. It's not the end of this is not the worst thing. I mean, he says things he means to say every day that are far worse.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.